Hello. Okay, hello. Should be fine. Should be fine. Should be fine. Let's just close you. Should be able to hear me fine. Camera should be fine. Earlier it overheated. It might overheat again. I don't know. Give me a hello in the chat if everything is coming across fine. Should be have exactly the same settings as I did before. It was fine before, apart from some things started overheating on me, which wasn't great, but how are we doing? How has everyone's weekend been? Hope it's been good, all of that malarkey. I'm gonna make myself a drink before we get started. Give everyone a chance to tell me if something's wrong in the stream. If something's messed up or you can't hear me or lagging or buffering or any of that, you can let me know. Ooh. Yum. Well, we're hitting the right frame rates. We've got a green light on OBS, and I'm getting more and more trusting in this green light. You know, I used to look at it and I used to be like, is it though? Is it? But now I look at it and I'm fairly confident that it means everything's going well. I don't know, but well, I haven't been doing much since I last streamed. I went out in the garden, did some gardening, did some bits, had a call with a friend, and played around with some code. But other than that, not much. Definitely nothing on Whisper, which is what we're going to be doing today. I'm just going to mute my phone because don't want that going off. Hello, how are you doing? Hope everyone is good. Right, I think we're gonna get started on Whisper where we left off over here. So we have it over here, and if you refresh, you can see the right whisper comes in, and then when you type, you can store this whisper in a Redis store. You can't collect it yet, although when we say like hello, how are you, something like this, and we click publish, and that red publish is basically it's just disabled state, and I haven't changed the style since I did that in the first stream. So this will now be published, and you can go to this link, and then you'll be able. Well, you can't view it yet. This is what we're gonna do, and then after 60 seconds of the first viewer, then we're gonna start like a 60-second countdown where the text is gonna slowly start fading out. After that, you can no longer see it. It'll be done. There is another part to it which I could go into with like re-whispering and stuff, but I've mentioned it like twice now already. And all of that stuff, so you guys don't really want to listen to that again, most probably, unless you're new, and then I can explain it. So let me know if you want me to explain that part, but I'm going to focus on getting the information, and most importantly, starting the 60-second countdown, because if you remember in the last stream, where is it? In the API for the Whisper, we're literally just storing the string that we get from the Whisper into the Redis store with this. And what I kind of want to do is I kind of want to make this a object and save it as a JSON string. That way we can add more things to the object, and we can do like a json.parse and check the expiry date if it exists and all of that stuff. So what we're going to do is when we post this, we're going to just make sort of a data object, and this will have the whisper in along with expires, and this will just be set to null for now, because we won't set an expiry date until the first person views, and then that sets it for 60 seconds in the future. So that's how you guys can view it, and you'll view it and stuff. and you'll view your own whisper, and you won't be able to start the countdown, and it's only the countdown will start when someone else views it, because otherwise you might look at your whisper and then realize that you've only got 60 seconds before it goes away, before you can share it and stuff. So yeah, and maybe we'll add some like copy on the site to kind of explain that, but we haven't done any of that yet. So now that we've got this and it's an object, instead of setting this whisper value here, I can just set the json.stringify that, which will turn it into a string, which can be stored in the Redis store, and then we can pass it later. And we could set this as a different Redis data type and stuff, but really not focusing on that sort of stuff. Just kind of doing this main thing. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to work on the collection process, which is what happens when you go to this URL on the website. So if we go to this, it just says, hey, we're looking for this whisper, but like we haven't done anything else. If we go over to that page, which is the ID here, so yeah, you can see that we basically just have this text being statically rendered, and what we're going to be using is we're going to be using a package called use swr like this. Right, is this the one that I saw? I think it's this one. Eggbadoo, I believe it looks like this one. Yep, you can just do this. Cool. I don't know what the fetcher part is. Let's see. Okay. Well, I guess we can just basically copy and paste this and use it. So let's try. Simple as that, hey? Simple as that. I don't know why, but like my text isn't showing on this terminal here. Maybe if I like close it. I always forget how you open these things in the first place. Ah, there you go. So we do this. Yep. And let's see. Okay, so the fetcher is optional. A promise returning function to fetch your data. Let's have a look at the details. The fetcher is fetch URL and then okay. Okay, what's the default? Because if this is the default, then this is probably what we want to do. Maybe we'll just do this anyway. Yeah, I can just imagine that that's kind of what we want to do. So let's put this, maybe we don't even need to have it in this component, we'll put it out here. And then we'll import this thing. So we'll go const, and I think it's destructurized like this. And then we can say is equal to use swr, which I kind of expected to come up, but it didn't. So we'll just import it. I'm sure they have it here, so we can copy and paste mondeal. We probably don't need this. And then here we want to go to the endpoint, which is /API /whisper / and then we'll do the dynamic sort of ID that we have on this page, like this. And then we'll do the same thing with our fetcher function that they do. And I'm guessing this can be string. Yeah, and I'm guessing that when this fails and we do a dot catch here, and we have an error, we can just for now console.error. It'll be something like if the whisper doesn't exist already, all of that stuff, or if it's maybe already timed out and gone down to 0 seconds. But yeah, welcome back. You aren't gone too long. So now we have this supposal data let's just console.log this. Obviously this is just not going to run anything when we go to here. We probably should see that console.error come through. Just because we don't actually, let's see, I probably need to restart the compiler because my library isn't defined for when I added that package in. This is VS Code, this here. Yeah, mainly built for JavaScript or TypeScript and things like that. But there's tons of extensions and themes and stuff that makes it good for like Ruby, PHP, or anything else that you're interested in. Let's refresh this. So localhost / whisper / undefined. So it looks like it's not getting this, right? This here. Okay, so it's getting it. All right, so maybe we'll say we'll say you we basically only want to do this when this is defined, but we're getting this unexpected JSON because I guess it's being a successful. Let's see. Let's I guess if we do this and then return and then do this, we can then console.log r here, and let's see what this is giving us. So we get a status of 404 because this whisper / this ID doesn't exist, and it doesn't know how to handle that, and it's not seeing 404 as an error. So here we can just do things like if s.status does not equal to 200, then we can sort of return a new, or maybe we'll throw an error, a new error, and then we can probably do r.body in here, but for now I'm just gonna say there was an error. Very descriptive, and I know, but for now this would do, because then this will run and basically it will be caught here in this catch method, and then we'll console log. So it's literally not going to be very much there. In fact, it might make sense just to throw the r.body, and then we should get this console error of whatever that body is. It shouldn't return this, so it shouldn't get this error of unexpected token when it's trying to pass that JSON. And we're just getting a readable stream thing. Okay, so the error is in a readable stream. So we'd have to do sort of like the await function on here. This is why this is just a little bit easier for now. Okay, so now I guess we should make this endpoint so it's no longer erroring, right? So if we do a new folder, I guess we don't really need a new folder here, right? We could just do a new file, and it would be called like whisper. No, we definitely need a new folder. What am I talking about? New folder, whisper, and then in here we do a new file, and we can have id.ts, and I'm guessing we can move this inside of here, and we can just rename this to index. Ooh, it's asking me, do I want to? Sure. And I'm hoping that that will mean that this is on the / whisper, and that this is then on the ID, right? That would kind of make sense. Let's hope so anyway. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this into here, because it's gonna be basically the same, right? But instead of this case post, we're gonna do case get, and then we still want this user code to be passed, but maybe we'll just call it code, and then we don't need to do any of this, and then we basically just need to do client dot, and then is it get? Probably a get function, right? And then pass in the code because that's the key that we saved it under, and then it will return a callback, I'm guessing with error or the sort of value. I don't actually know. Yep, looks like it. Let's just check this get function. Returns a callback with the string. I guess we'll just console log. Back on the dark theme. Yes, I am back on the dark theme. I need to keep up with my drink levels. I find that when I'm streaming, I just forget to drink, and I don't get very wavy, which is what we're trying to do here. iPad, stay there. Before we do this, let's just console log this value. No, that is Coke. Hold on. That is Disaronno and Coke. So yeah, we've got a good 28% alcohol, so it's not crazy. It's not weak. It's just a little fun thing for a Sunday evening. Right, so we're going to console log this value. This is fine. We can keep this, and I guess what we will be returning here is like a res.json, and then it will be basically the value, which will be the whisper. We don't need to do .end when we return JSON. So let's just kind of see if this works, I guess. I honestly have no idea. So if you go copy this and do API / whisper / this, right, it's going to get this command get arguments. Okay, so I'm assuming that is because we're not actually getting what I think is the result here. So maybe it's just the value here. And then we can just do, we don't even need that. So let's see if this gets me anything closer to what I want. Still getting this value command get. Maybe this is a promise based. Did I miss that? Let's just have a look on the node Redis, because don't need this. I like to use replit for editing in Notepad++. Yeah, both good apps. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I just like VS Code because of all of the sort of text previews and being able to hover and see the type of. Obviously, that's just a type of any, but if we hovered over this, then we can see this is the type of error or null. So I was correct in thinking that this is the error, and then I thought that this would be the value, which would be the type of string. But we're not getting that necessarily, so we're just going to, let's see, find.get. Let's see. To get the data back from the server, you'll need to use a callback. Promises, get async.then, console.log. Okay, so this reply is null when the key is missing, but that, like, I assume that means that this is the value in the string that I want, right? But okay, so now it's not giving me anything. Weird. Right, let's go to this Redis thing. It's just my face. Lovely. I always forget this. Sorry about that. I didn't really do much. I was just sort of playing around with console.logs. But yeah, we'll change it back to this. Sorry about that. So what I'm expecting to get from here is this hello, how are you thing, which is stored in the Redis table. I'm doing like the sort of Redis client.get, and I'm passing in the code, which looks like what I do is you just pass in this key here, hold on, this key, and then it will return an error, and the reply will be null when the key is missing. But they do this sort of Redis.print thing up here, and I'm not sure why. They also show you how to put it in a promisify and like async it instead of a callback, but they don't really show you just how to use the basic .get functionality unless I'm being okay, so you can do .toString will print okay. Okay, so I guess maybe we'll try this .toString and we'll say if error, then we'll return res.status 422 dot I guess we'll just do that. We won't pass in the error. We can always just console.log the error. But I'm wondering why. Okay, very weird. Okay, so it errored. What was the error? Let's see. Cannot read property to string of undefined. Oh, okay, so that was just the thing that I added. But that kind of makes sense because if it's undefined, then it doesn't exist. But we know it exists, right? Which is kind of weird. So let's just... How strange. Do you guys see anything that I'm missing here? Because I don't. We will work it out for sure. So we'll return a JavaScript. So if we set this detect buffers, maybe we need to detect buffers. This will return a buffer since the original key is specified as a buffer. Honestly, I thought it would be so much easier than this. Okay, so that's now back and running, and this should now just return the empty object again, right? Once it loads. This is what you get when you don't try anything before a stream. You just go in and think, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everything will work. I don't need to look at the documentation, but clearly I do. And we're getting the GET request here. Also, why is this taking forever to load? Okay. It's not even returning anything now. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I think, is I'm gonna promisify it, because then I can just put this in an async request, right? That will work fine, and then I can just await the value there. I think that might be the way forward. So let's have a look at where they did that. Promisify, labadi. See, this is basically what I wrote, right? This is basically what I wrote, and I just expected that would work, but no. And the only thing I do is just replace that with that. And I mean, this is, I guess it's any. We could like assign it to a string like this, just so we can make sure. And then would we do? I'm literally just guessing. I'm making a custom Python thing. Cool. I haven't really played around with Python too much. I was more PHP side of things, but Python's cool, man. Right, let's try and get this to work. API /whisper/this. Don't know why now it's just not loading anything. Could it be because I'm putting it behind this weird folder, or is this how you're meant to do it? I don't really know. I guess what we could do is we could go back to here, wait for this to load, and then make sure that this still works, and be like, hello, or hey, and then publish this. Okay, so 500 error. Okay, so this is kind of saying to me that this routing isn't going to be working because it can't resolve. Okay. This makes sense, right? Because we have to go back another directory. Is that it? Do we have to do? No, it was the right directory, but for here it wasn't. So maybe it just didn't save. Okay, so let's save again and try and post this again. Hey. Okay, that looks like it successfully went through. We drag this up a little bit. Yep. So we passed in the whisper and this, and we got a response of 200. So that definitely went in, right? So if we refresh this and go here, okay, so we have whisper, and then we say hey, and we have expires null. That's the content of this. Cool. Now we expect, right, to when we go to this endpoint, /API /whisper /u, just make sure that's the same, that it works. But we're gonna be getting some issues, I think. Let's see what the chat's saying. Making a custom Python thing, already read that. It's like an optimized version of Python. Like instead of print, you do P, or efficient. I don't know. Okay, so you're basically just sort of making custom functions, right? Which, like making like these little helper functions which just wrap around the original functions. Is that what you're doing? Why is this endpoint not working? Why? Did I do the thing right here? Or do I have to do something with like, let's do Next.js dynamic API route. See if I'm doing that wrong. Pages API post PID.js. Okay, it looks like it did exactly the same thing. I didn't change this. Oh, god damn it. Okay, so we just get the ID from the request.query. Oh, wow. Wow, I feel silly. I feel silly. That's why it didn't exist. And all of that jazz. This type of string, or this is not assignable to type string. But I mean, it is a string. We'll do this. Okay. Let's see. This is looking a bit better already. It's making more sense. All I'm wondering now is why this without sending a response, but we return the status here in this get case. Right, so let's just, we don't really need this here. And I'm guessing it's because we added this async request here. So we can just keep it like this. This we can just turn off and on again just to restart. And then, okay, we should be on the right tracks now. We should be on the right tracks. I don't know why I didn't see that. Okay, so let's, hopefully this now works on the GET request. Oh, and it's returning this, this is exactly what we want from this console.log, right? Cool. That's great. Why it's not returning, because it's pending still. Why it's not getting this, I don't know, but we're getting this, which is the important thing for now. So now that we have that, we now know that this value is the JSON value. So now we can just do const data json.parse value, and we can do that only if the value exists. So we can just be explicit and say if value does not equal to null, then we're gonna do this. We could also wrap this stuff in a try and catch just in case this json.parse fails, but as I know that we're storing it in a json.stringify, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Camera. So now that we have that, we should just be able to return the res dot status, we'll do 200.json, and we'll just return the data as an object. And then once we have that, that means that we don't need this, right? Well, I guess we can say return res.status. I guess we'll do 404 if it doesn't exist, right? I mean, I guess that's technically if the root doesn't exist, so maybe we should just do this, 200, and we'll say we will just return the object data, which is going to be whisper, and what was it? It's going to be whisper and expires null. So we can just set like a default of like whisper nothing expires null or something, and then in the cases that it doesn't exist, it just won't show up any text, and we don't have to do much error handling around that to keep it simple. Okay, so now that we're getting this, we're getting the JSON response back. This is all good. This is what we're expecting. So now we should go to here, not here. Oh, yep, here. So we have this fetcher, and we use this use SWR, and we're doing the endpoint with the custom ID, and then we're console.logging the data. So let's go back to this / here. And we should be console logging this hey. Cool. So now we can fade in this hey. So now that we have that data, all we need to do in this page is basically the same thing that we're doing on this index page with having this header and whisper. We want the header, so let's just take you out. Maybe we can take the title out as well. And in that case, we can also have a custom title, maybe being the whisper. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess we need to change this title anyway because it's no longer Joseph Smith. Well, we can just make it whisper, and then we'll say make a whisper, and then we'll say here, we'll say whisper, see a whisper. I'm literally just making this crap up. Did I capitalize the other one? Yeah, let's just take this, and let's just do this, and then this head component from Next doesn't exist, so we'll import that, and then also this header component won't exist from components header, and this whisper component here, and then right, why are we erroring now? It's because we need to be in a React fragment, right? Cool, it's not getting this code, which is fine. Which is fine. Is it fine that we don't get this code? I mean, we could get this code. We'll see. We'll see. We'll go to the whisper. We'll open it up. Right. So we only need that code basically. This kind of makes sense because if the code is equal to null, then it's going to be disabled, which is fine, right? Because we don't want it to be disabled. We don't want it to be able to be posted when you're viewing Whisper. You just want to view it. So disabling it kind of makes sense. Do form tags have it disabled, or like enabled or editable? How can you like disable form HTML? It's been a while since I've had to look up a HTML tag. Just wanted to see if it applies to forms. No, okay. So what I'm thinking here is complete, and okay, so if it is complete, we'll show this, and then if it's not is complete and it's not disabled, is disabled, then we'll show this, and that means that this button will no longer show if it's disabled, which is fine. And then we have this input here, and then I guess we can also make this disabled, or is it editable? I guess it's disabled. and set this to is disabled. So now this will no longer be editable when it's disabled, and now we just need to be able to set a default value on this input. So let's go to here, let's not pass this in, and I think that's going to error because it's required in the types. But if we change it to this, could we then set a default to null here, and that will be fine, right? And then, so once we have this data, we basically want to say initial value can be this data.whisper here, and I guess this might not exist, so we'll just do this in that case. Then we need to make this initial value here. Initial value, and then it's going to be a string because it will be equal to the whisper, and even if the whisper doesn't exist, then it'll be equal to an empty string. So we can say this, but it is going to be optional. So I guess we'll also do null, and then we'll do the same as we had here. The reason why it's optional is because we're obviously not using it when we write the whisper on the index. So now that we have that initial value, we should just be able to set this whisper's initial state to be the initial value, and if that doesn't exist, to be an empty string, like so. And then that should hopefully get us somewhere closer. Cannot read property whisper of undefined, which is always fun. So that's in here, data whisper. Okay, so we can maybe wrap this in if data exists, basically, just not equal to null. And I'm doing the not equals and not equals because undefined is not equal to null, but it's equal to null. So there's that fun thing. Okay, so now we have this, and then it fades in hey because this is the whisper. Right now and then basically what it's going to do now is we need to set an expires date for 60 seconds in the future. And then it's going to start counting down and start going more and more opacity over the 60 seconds until boosh, nothing. So we're close. We're not far away now. And then what I need to do is I need to do a cron job on the server, which I can do on my backend and stuff, and then I can just delete everything that's past 60 seconds from being created, which is fine, absolutely fine to do. What to do? I'm gonna have a talk. I'm gonna have a drink. How's everyone doing? Does anyone have any questions while we're breaking? Take a look at this cute little animal that I have here. This is my cat. She's so sweet. She's very shy. Gotta go. Okay, see you later, man. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. There you go. Okay, so yeah, how's everyone doing? Give me an answer. How's your weekend been? What's you guys been up to? All of that stuff. Quiet people. All right, if no one replies soon, then I guess I'll continue. Camera doing the thing. I'm getting pretty good at catching it. It happens because my memory card isn't fast enough, but I'm gonna get a new memory card, and then it'll be fast enough, and then I won't have to do that ever again, which will be great. Hey Bobby, how you doing? How's your weekend been? Hope it's been good. Did it? Right, I guess not anyone has much to say. Oh, this camera's doing it over and over again. May need to switch to a different camera. We'll see. Oh, are we having memory full issue? See, this is the issue with using a DSLR, but it's no problem. It's no problem. I've fixed this a bunch of times now that I should just be able to do this. And then I have this camera up here, which is fine because, yeah, I can look at you this way, and this is the way I code. So cool. Easy peasy fix. So Right. I'm going to turn this camera off because it's very distracting looking at it and it's not on. And then we're going to get back to it, I guess, and we're going to make it post the expires date if it doesn't exist. So let's go back to the screen. And by the way, Bobby, I'm glad you had a relaxing weekend. I also have had a relaxing evening. Spent a lot of time in the garden this evening, doing some crops, doing some vegetables, doing some mowing the lawn, all of that fun stuff that adults do, but nice to get away from a screen. So now we have this so that when you post a Whisper, you get this random link code, and you're like, when you go to it, it's going to show the Whisper. And now we need to set the expires date for 60 seconds in the future so that we can start hiding the Whisper, and therefore everyone afterwards it would hide for. Right, so we'll do that here, but basically, thinking about it, actually, it would make sense in the API that we're calling to get the Whisper information that we actually return this ID with the... Actually, we get it. We don't need it. Okay, cool. Don't even worry about it. I don't know what I was thinking. So we basically need to have this same function here, and I'm hoping that when I put it over here and go to here, we just don't need to pass in here. We can do user local storage key and do the use local storage. And I'm assuming this would get the code, and we can basically just say like use effect. So when the component mounts, as we all know what this does by now, we say if the ID does not equal to the code, so if you're someone that's not yourself, the person who posted the Whisper, then what are we going to do? We then, or basically, and we also need to make sure that the data exists, so it does not equal null, and that the data dot expires does not equal null, right? And in that case, we'll run this use effect when this data gets updated. That way, if it's null, then it'll be fine. It'll run again when it's not null, and then if it's expired, boom. And then basically, we just need to have a post request here. So similar to what we have in this index, in somewhere in this in the Whisper component here, similar to what we have here, but we're just going to be setting 60 seconds into the future from the date of viewing. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So we do need to think about some because if I set it for 60 seconds in the future, it needs to work for all time zones. Thinking. I don't know. We'll work with that. We'll see how it goes. We might have run into an issue. We might not. The main thing I want to do is I basically just want to console.log this code and see if it's the right thing that we're looking for, which should be this one here, which might seem simple, but we're not using this ID. Which is from the router query. We're using the code which is stored in local storage so that we know it's your one or not. And yep, looks like we get this code. It's null for a couple times while this needs to basically run this use effect and see if the item exists, but this is fine because yeah, it's running fine. And in that case, where are we? We should probably make sure that this also runs when the code is updated as well. Which is fine. This is absolutely fine to do. And then, did I copy that from over here? I should have done, but I don't think I did. We'll do this. And then we can blah, 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 blah. dbd. I guess we'll make a new function here called const update expires, and it will be an async function. And then we can just wrap things in a try and catch with the error. For now, we'll just do a console.error for the error because we're cool. And then we'll take this out and put this in here. And then we want to post to the /API/whisper/ the custom whisper code. And we'll get that from the ID and not the code, because it's not going to be your code, it's going to be the ID that the whisper you're on. That's definitely not what I put. And then we'll keep it post. We could change the put, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Now, it's probably best to do this on the server end. So I'm just maybe going to post an empty body. And I think you can do that, right? I think that's fine. So we'll just run this here. The only thing that we need to do is make sure that we return this expires on this data once this is complete. So maybe we could do like let data, and then once this is complete, we can, I'm guessing this will give us the data, and then, or maybe we shouldn't call it data, we'll call it request. And then we can basically say, in fact, we probably could use this as a use ref or use state. We'll see how we get along with that. For now, we'll change this to you, and we'll do this request. We won't worry about returning it just for now. We'll just make sure that we add in this expires post request, which is going to be on here. So we need to bring back the switch case statement, which we removed. Fun. And put this here. Move this in. Then we can break. We'll close the switch statement. We will copy this default here, and then place it here. And we will put in the case get here. And then also we just are going to copy this for the get request, because the post request is going to be the one that's updating the expires here. And then cool, so now we can get this same one here. We can basically do this stuff here, because we want to make sure that it exists. Cool. This is cannot redeclare blocked. Okay, so we can just take this out of here and put this here. Right, put you in here and then take you out of here, right? This is going to work fine. Yep, okay. So we basically just need to get the client, make sure it exists. If it does exist, we're not going to, I guess we do pass it, because then we can just say if also the data.expires is equal to null, then we can update it here. So what we will do is we'll do client.set come on, and then we need to set the ID like we did for collecting it, but instead we're going to set the value as a JSON.stringify, and it will be the whisper content, which is going to be equal to the data.whisper, and then the data.expires, so expires is now going to be set to 60 seconds into the future. And I'm assuming we can do moment from that. So let's just yarn add moment, and I will need to restart my my thing here, but so I might as well just close that now. I don't know why that's in the way. Cool. So now we can import this moment from moment. And then we can use it to say the expires is equal to moment dot add, and then we can say 60 seconds, and then we can say to is it to ISO string? Would that also include the time zone? I think so. So we can basically just do that. And I mean, I know that this code is like super ugly and it's not very neat and stuff, but you know, we're doing what we're doing. It's going to be fine. It would all work out in the end. So now that we've done this, I'm going to basically take this out of here, and I'm going to add this to like a data. So const data is equal to you. I'll actually keep this in here. So json.stringify, and then just data in here. We should put that onto one line. Also, we can't call that data. We'll call this new data. Easy fix, because we need the data to get the whisper. New data will then be saved here, and then we'll return, basically, if this is true. This res.state is pretty much exactly the same, but instead of new data, we'll be returning, instead of data, we'll be returning new data here. But here we do want to still return this data, because basically if you're anybody else which is coming to here, and maybe you get through to the post request before it updates on someone else, like if you view it exactly the same time as someone, basically this expires will be null and it will fail here, but it will still collect the original whisper and it won't affect anything for that with updating the whisper on the front end. So with that said, if we go here, we should be able to do const data equals this, and then if we console.log data, we should get something. Now that this updates, we should get something. We'll see. It would help if I started local server. Okay, so let's see what happened here. We got this, which is the expires. It looks like we're not setting out. How can we see this is a GET request? Okay, so it looks like this isn't running here. So if code isn't, it's because our code is equal to the same code, right? So if we just remove this for test, and then let's comment and add this back in, that way it will just make sense, because yeah, basically we obviously had the same ID because we posted it, so it's not going to be updating anything. Now, do I need to refresh? Probably to re-render the component. Is that now doing any post request? Doesn't look like it, right? Doesn't look like it. So I guess let's just because data, we basically want to check if data expires is equal to null and does not equal to null. I miss all these things when I'm when I'm just browsing. Okay, so now we have this post request. It's getting a 200, and the response is going to be this date here, which does include the time zone, and it is going to be 60 seconds in the future, which is great. I mean, by the time we do anything with this date, it's going to have ran out of time, because obviously now that's not going to update. So if we go back to this network, in fact, it's not even going to post, because now this expires is not null. So let's just console.log this data to show that now for everybody else coming to the site, basically this expires is not going to be null. You can see that this expires is here. So we can actually just use moment in the front end as well. So we can import moment from moment, and then I guess we need to do sort of like, I guess there should be like a use set interval in React, right? I'm assuming there's going to be someone that's done a nice use interval, because I don't want that. No. Okay, I mean, it's not the end of the world. We can just do a set interval here. And I guess we should put this in a use effect, and then we can have it unrender as well, or unmount with the return of this. So if we do this, and then we say const listen or something is equal to set interval, and then we basically want to do an interval for every 1 second that passes here, and then we'll do this on load, and then we just want to return a function which clear interval the listener so that no longer is running. And then in here we basically want to check this expires date. spelled that wrong, listener. And obviously this date is going to change if you're the first person that's viewing, so we probably want to have similar to have this like data update it, and then in here we're basically, maybe we should wrap the whole thing. We'll just say if data dot expires, or if data and data dot expires exists, then in here we basically want to find out the time difference between now and when that expiry date is. So how do we do that with moment? We do .diff, maybe? I don't actually know. And then we just wrap the moment around the data.expires to make it a moment object. And then can we just pass in seconds here, and then here? So now we can say const diff equals this, and then let's just console.log the diff, see what that does. We should be getting a console log every second, right? Which is 150. Okay, so it's going up, because obviously it's now way longer than a minute. So what we want to do is we probably want to get this in here, data.expires, just so now it's going to be going down. If I remember correctly, it's going to be going down. Cool, which is fine because it's going to start at 60 and then it's going to go down to 0, which is what we want, right? Because then if we do sort of 60 divided by 100 times 100, we basically want 60 to be the 100% point. What am I missing here? Some basic math that I just can't think of right now, and I don't know why. I actually just have no idea. It's kind of annoying. Very, very, very annoying. Yep, I don't have any idea. But I guess we do like 60 divided by 60 times 100, right? And that gives us 100% opacity. And then it would be 59, 58, all the way down to 0. Yeah, okay, that kind of works. So let's do const percent is equal to what I just said. So we'll say this div divided by how much we want it to be. So 60 seconds times 100 is going to be this percent. And I guess we can then set percent to be this percent here. And we say, we can maybe put an if in here, which is like if percent is less than or equal to 0, then we will basically cancel this clear listener, so it doesn't keep on updating. But if not, then we'll set the percent to percent, and then this is just going to be a use state that we up here. So const percent use percent. That's not what I meant to say. Set percent, and then we'll say use state. That's better. And then I guess that this is going to be default at 100, but it's going to update every second, which is fine because it takes 5 seconds for the text to load in. So like if it's at 100 but it's actually at 0 and it just hasn't had time to load yet, then it's still going to be fine because that 5 seconds it takes to fade in will be enough time to hide it if that is the case. So now we can just basically check this percent, and then if the percent, I guess we'll pass it into the whisper component here. That way we can fade the opacity and not render the input. Yeah, Or, I mean, we don't have to, and we could wrap this whisper into another div, and we could fade the opacity on that, and then just not render the whisper component if the percent is 0. But I think this is maybe the better or just easier way for the stream, at least. So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna get this percent value, which is gonna be a number. And then this is also going to be optional, and I guess the default is going to be 100 because when we don't pass it in, that's going to be when you're writing it. Let's go here. Cool, we'll share that with the stream later. So Bobby just messaged me saying that he had made a little whisper design for me. So we'll share it with the stream in a second and see if it's good enough. It will be. But obviously it might not be anything what I've done now, so it might be a bit of change to make, but we'll see. So now that this percent is got a default of 100, we can then, we're getting there, we can set the opacity on this to be the percent, and then on the styled component here, we basically just need to say that we allow an opacity, which is going to be equal to a number, and then we can set the opacity to be equal to this props.opacity. If it doesn't exist, then we'll just set it to 1. And I guess I kind of forgot that opacity isn't with like 100% to 60%. You can just use like 0.1 and stuff, so we don't even need to times it by 100. So we'll change that in a second. But let's just transition this opacity by 2 seconds, ease in and out, just so that it's like a little bit smoother than just block changing the opacity. And then when we do this calculation, we're just going to not be timesing it by 100 to keep it at that value. Cool, so this is going to be at 0 now because it's obviously at minus 400. It's taken us that many seconds to get to this point. So what I think I can do is I can just, if I refresh this, how can I refresh this? Okay, so what is the time now? God, I can't even work this out. If we put like 15 here and then refresh, what do we get? We still have nothing, right? That's not fair. Maybe 15 is also too little. I honestly don't know. I guess what we could do is we could just delete this. And then we could just make another one, right? Might be the easiest option to do there. So let's say, hey, this is my whisper, and then we'll click publish, and then it's published. So we'll go to this /, and then the first person will view it will set an expires date at, which is going to be this. And obviously we're not actually updating that data object yet. So this isn't going to actually be updating the expires date. So in this sort of post request here, we see that we have this data.body, which is a readable stream. So I guess we then do, so we do const JSON is equal to await data.body .json. Is that how we do it? Maybe not. I don't actually know. Okay, let's just take a look at the fetch readable stream to JSON. Use the response.body. Okay, I don't know if that's necessarily the right one. But it looks like, you know, res.json is what people are doing, so we'll see. I don't know why it's just, oh, it's possibly null. If we wrap this in like a if data.body, can we then be like, okay, and then we want to do this? Does not exist on type readable stream. Well, I don't know. I have no idea. We're gonna just have to wait and see how we do that in a second when I do a little bit more research. But now what I can do is I can basically just refresh that to load that in. But it's obviously been over 60 seconds. I need to get better at this. I need to get better. So let's just post a little message, blah, 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 blah. Let's go back to this endpoint and then we'll refresh it twice just so that it updates the data. Obviously, that's not ideal, but now it should be working right. Okay, so now it's here and then it should be fading out over 60 seconds. And this is flashing, I know, but we're just basically not doing anything about the re-rendering. So we can update this so that it doesn't re-render all the time. But basically we can see that this is now going down and slowly fading out, which is kind of what we want. And then when it gets to 0, it should just unrender from the screen. So say if like someone came to the link at this point, they'd see it, but it'd be quite faint, and then so on and so on. I feel like it's not getting any more opaque. Maybe it is. Maybe my eyes are just playing tricks on me. We'll see when it gets to 0. Hey, how are you? Why am I here? I don't know. Why are you here? Okay, so yeah, it's definitely getting less, and then when it gets to 0, okay, so it didn't unrender, but I think that's mainly because I didn't actually do anything to make it unrender in this Whisper component. We're setting the opacity here, but we're not actually saying like only show if the opacity is like greater than or equal to 1, 0. Yeah, that makes more sense. So this is not actually here, it's percent like this, and then okay, that's just taking a while. So now that this won't actually render when it's at 0, which should be anytime you sort of refresh now, we won't have this text area anymore. Doesn't exist and it never loads. Okay, so we have like the basic stuff going on now. What are we making today? Okay. Okay, I'll go over it in just a little second. I'll go over in just a little second. Just want to have a look at the next fetch data sort of thing to see what they do. And I mean, yeah, I know I could use to get static props. Okay, so they do like res.json, and that's fine. Okay, so if we do, where am I doing this? So we have this here, we have this. So if we do const JSON is equal to await data.json, like this, and then console.log this JSON, then this will actually work. Makes sense, it makes sense. See, it just takes a little bit of reading to figure this out. So then if we publish and we go to this URL, we're actually going to get that console.log down here. We should get this object which has the new expires date, which is great because then we just need to update this data to be equal to that. And so for that, I guess I could use a custom hook to basically or we could just use a state. We could keep it really simple and we could just say like whisper and then set whisper like this and just be a use state to null. Really simple. And then what we can do is we can just have another use effect here, which is basically when this data object gets updated. So here we'll then basically say the set whisper is going to be equal to this data object, because then this here, we can do this exact thing just right here. And then it's just, we would be printing the JSON there. So now that we have this common whisper, which is always going to be equal to the most up-to-date one, even if you come here and you set it after it expires, which means that we don't really need to listen to this data anymore, because we can just check the whisper and value. And we can do the same for this here and here. That means we only have one use effect, which is listening for the data to change, and then we have two, which is listening for the whisper and the code changes, and then whisper is possibly null. I would have thought that this would be fine, but because how can it get to this point if it does not equal null? That's what I want to know. So I guess that this whisper is gonna be a default of an object, right? And then expires does not exist on the type of this, and then we can just type it here. I'm literally just like making this stuff up now, which will have a whisper, which will be a string, and an expires, which should be a string, right? And then we'll set the default to have a whisper of null, or empty string, and an expires of null, because then that means all of our default stuff will work. So I guess this expires will either be a string or null, which is fine. And then this should update. So okay, so now we should be pretty close to what we wanted in the first place. So let's go over what we are making. So the idea here is that basically people are going to be making whispers, and these whispers will last for 60 seconds after someone views that whisper. So say the first person views it, when the second person comes along, it's already sort of like halfway through 60 seconds. It's going to be slightly more harder to read until it gets to 0, and then there's nothing there. So you can write whispers. So like you can say like, hey, this is my secret, or something like this. And then when you publish it, it will give you this URL which you can share. And then whenever someone goes to this URL, and I've removed the code that checks if it isn't you or not, because we want to be testing it, and obviously we need to test if it is me, but I'm not going to be changing my local storage anytime. So we've removed that code, so this will actually trigger the expires to hit. It's going to load in. I don't like it. I don't like how that flashed and just went away. Okay, it was kind of lucky if that was going to work first time for testing it. But what should have happened is it should have loaded in the message, which it did. And then it starts the expires date, which should be 60 seconds in the future. And then it's going to start counting down. The closer it gets to 0, the closer it gets to 0% opacity. And the text will just eventually be null. But let's see what is happening here. I'm passing in the percent here. Why did it get flashed? And then it's gonna go to null. So we set this whisper. Maybe we should only do this if the data. If data, maybe we should do that for now. And data.whisper, just to kind of make sure that that exists before. But I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think maybe the issue is going to be here if percent is greater than or equal to 0. This should be fine, honestly. But obviously now it's probably been over 60 seconds, so it's not going to fade in anyway. So this is where the testing phase kind of gets a bit long. So we're like, hello, publish, we'll go to this URL. And by the way, we're going to make it so the URL changes each time you publish a whisper. It's only going to keep the same, so you get to view it here. I kind of want to know why it's starting to show, and then it receive nan for opacity attribute. This is expected to cast a value to a string. Okay, well, this could be why then, right? So this percent is coming in. And what we're doing is we're doing in here, we're saying the percent is equal to the diff minus 60, which, for example, if it's 60, then obviously it'll be 1. And then if it's like 30, obviously it's going to be 0.5, right? Which is fine. Maybe I should do like a math.round on this just to make sure that it's like a solid number. And then how do we round to a decimal place? I kind of forget. Does math.round to decimal place? So we just need to do times 100 divided by 100. Great, because it seems like we're doing a lot of this times 100 divided by 100 stuff. But I guess that kind of makes sense because we want to do this times 100, so we want to do the diff divided by 60 times 100 like this. Okay, let's see if this gives us anything better. I'm going to console log this percent that gets passed in here. Don't know why I did the Simpsons theme tune then. So let's see, it's a minus 0.7, which is fine because that means it would have unrendered from the screen. This is what we expect because it's below 0. So we need to do another whisper. Hello. Let's go to it. And we're getting this 100, and then we're getting okay. So we're getting 100. Okay. So it shouldn't be 100, right? It should be 1 here. So there's that. And I'm guessing that means that this here is not necessarily doing its job. So let's console.log this percent value. So console.log percent, because it might just be a problem with this code here, which makes sense because it's not exactly the neatest line of code in the world. So we're actually getting, okay, we're getting this, which is kind of what we want, right? It's slowly going out, and this flashing, by the way, we're gonna do some use memos and stuff to stop rendering everything that's on the screen, and we only need to re-render the component that this is updating in, basically. But so that kind of like it should be working, right? Like looking at that, was it just that I had my default set to 100, so when it was doing the percent, it couldn't figure it out? Maybe. Let's give it a one more go. So hopefully it works. We'll just put a random thing in here. Here. Why? I have no idea, and I don't know what that noise is. I'm assuming it's my cats running around. So I guess if this diff was invalid, then I guess that might be why that's happening. Let's refresh and kind of see if that looks better. La da da do, la da da day, la da da dee 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 day. Long. Why? I don't know where it's getting this from. Like obviously I know where it's console.logging, but then all of a sudden it works and it goes down. So this must be incorrect. So let's just console.log this diff. See what's happening here. So obviously we know that this is all working fine, but we kind of need to wait for it to go again before we can try that. Which is like, I regret setting 60 seconds. A minute is a long time to wait when you're waiting for something. But yeah, I don't know if I explained the idea very well, because it's not necessarily working very well, but that's the idea. Almost gone. And we're gone. Okay, so let's just refresh. Obviously it's not going to have anything here. That's fine. Let's go blah 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 here. Then we're going to go to here. Then we're going to go to here. And then, okay, so let's see what's happening here. We're getting this. Where is this? This is none. Okay. Okay, so maybe we should do I mean, this is it feels like a dirty fix, but I think I got it. It's like a Snapchat, but without pictures. Yeah, basically, it's just a fun little thing that I can try out some Redis stuff. Um, yeah. So it's going quite well, surprisingly. There's only been 3 screens and I'm almost done. But I'm basically going to say that if this does not exist, I guess it might be because we're checking if whisper is equal to null and whisper, but we're not checking if the data is this. I honestly don't know why this is being annoying, and basically this shouldn't be. Nah, it shouldn't be. But I think it's just the case that it is, and I don't know why, but we can fix it. Everything can be fixed, but I just trying to do some debugging here, basically, to work out why when I come here and come here, oh right, it's working, right? So it must have just been that I had data.expires and not whisper.expires here. Oh, annoying, all of that for that. Okay, so we basically have this, and this is going to be auto-growing and stuff. So yeah, we don't need to worry about that being not hidden because that's going to change soon. Now this is obviously refreshing the page each time. We don't really want that to happen. We only want the opacity to be fading out. So let's just have a little read through what's happening in this component. We have this percent, which is being passed to this whisper component, but obviously this percent is rendering on this page here and updating. And it's then setting this state. I mean, fairly interesting. Because, yeah, I guess it makes sense why this whole component is being re-rendered, because it's actually setting the state in this component. Just thinking. Because what I'm thinking we could do is we could just have this stuff on the whisper component itself. So like, for example, if we take this out here, and then instead of passing in the initial value, we can just pass in the value, and we can just pass in whisper. Now bear with, because this is going to be erroring and stuff, but now that we have that, let's just, if data does not equal to null, we can say if whisper here does not equal to null, like this, and then we go to here. We obviously don't have initial value, we have value, which is gonna, let's just create a type of whisper, which is gonna have the whisper as a string and the expires as a string, or null, and I'm guessing this can also be of null if I remember correctly, and then this value is going to be a whisper, or it's going to be null, and then here value is going to be null, and then we can say set the state. So if we say value and then do value dot whisper, or we set it to null, and then we have this, we can basically do this use effect here, but this is going to be of the value, and then we also need to do the use effect here. We need to load in moment here. We then probably should do something like if whisper expires does not exist on type string. This is fine. This value. Okay, so now we need to get this percent state in here. Const percent, and I mean we could actually not even change the state, but could just update the opacity value with using a reference on this, which might actually be a ton better. It might be a ton better. But we're going to just copy and paste this over so that we have the same problem basically on this component. So this percent will be default to 1. And then this set percent, we don't need to pass the percent in here, so this doesn't need to be in there. And then this set percent, let's not console log it out, is going to be used here. And then let's just make sure we do moment and actually import it. Don't know why, but it's not, doesn't seem to be importing it. So we'll do import moment from moment or movement. Like this, and then we've just got a couple more things, which is expires does not exist on type string, which is just whisper, because we need to basically do a value does not equal to null, and value dot expires and value dot expires. This is actually equal to a string, so this should be fine. And then this is going to update here, and then this is now going to be value dot whisper, and obviously it's put that in because it might be null. We could do something like this and then this too, but pretty much the same thing there, I believe. Here, so object is possibly null, value, okay, this is fine because instead of this, we should probably actually still keep this on whisper here, because this is actually updating here and then the value is just here, which makes sense. But then why is this being read? Type string or null is not assignable to type string or number or string or undefined. Type null is not assignable to type. Okay, so just the same thing. This is fine because we can do set whisper on type this. Can we do something like this? Will that just do its magic and get rid of that? Looks like it. Cool, so now basically what's happening on this page is we're not doing too much anymore, which is nice to separate that out. We're passing in the whisper, we're doing this on the whisper component, and then we're saying if value does not equal to null. In fact, I feel like this should just wrap the whole thing, because it doesn't actually need to run, right? So let's just do let listen equals null. It doesn't need to run at all if the value is null, so then we'll just do this, and we'll just set that to here, and then we'll do this, and then maybe if listener, then we do this. So what's going on here? Variable listener, okay, this is fine. I guess listener objects, I don't even know what that would be. I guess interval. I don't know what that should be, to be honest. Can we just set this to have the type of any, because that's fine. And then I will explain what's going on in a second. I just need to fix these errors so that it's not erroring anymore, which is always nice. And then don't know why. Okay, so that's good. We should now have kind of a similar result to what we had. It's not really going to fix any of the re-rendering issues because it's still going to be re-rendering the component, right? But yeah, let's basically redo this and say, write a whisper, hey, I'll answer your questions soon. Something like this. And then we'll go to the / here, and then we should see it. Well, we don't see it. And I'm guessing that's because this value is not being updated. So here, I'm guessing because it's being set, this value might not exist. So let's just set the value to be here, and then on this use effect where we get the value, we can do all of this stuff, and we can just say the set whisper to the value dot whisper here, and then let's refresh, and then, hey, I'll answer your question soon. We're still getting this re-rendering component, and we can change that, so don't worry. Now I'm going to answer your questions. Okay, I really want to make something with Redis myself at some point. Have you implemented the Redis part yet? And what and how are you using it for? Can you explain what's the operator doing? Okay, so can you explain the question mark operator? Yeah, sure. Okay, so first question is, have I already done the Redis stuff? Yep. So the Redis stuff you'll see, and by the way, the GitHub repository for this is in the description. But if we go into, it's super basic, right? What I did, if we go into here, what I did is I'm basically just connecting to Redis using the Redis URL and Redis port. I went over that in the last stream, and then we're basically just making a Redis client, and then we're just listening to on connect and on error, and just basically console logging when it's connected and when it's errored. And then when the server quits itself, we just close the Redis connection. You can do Redis streams, and you can do like client on message, and then find, and then basically do a function when something is saved into Redis, and you can make some nice like WebSocket real-time stuff going on. But when not doing anything that complicated in the stream, what I'm doing is I'm literally just storing a string and collecting a string from a Redis store. Super basic, and as for Matt, basically all this stuff, so we can say like const hello equals false. We could then say like const goodbye, and then what we can say is we can say if hello exists, then we'll do this, else we'll do this, and it's basically just like a really nice if else condition just in one line. And then basically what we can do is we can say let's print out hello. If it doesn't exist, let's print out something else. So that's basically what that operator does. So it's just setting a default value to this. So this would print out this because this is false, so this won't exist. But if this is true, then this would just print out true as a string. Okay. Hope that makes sense for you. I kind of forgot what I was doing now. Oh yeah, it's fixing that re-render issue. So let's see. Can we then do this here? So that's basically saying if this doesn't exist, we're going to set the default value to an empty string, which is fine because null is not supported on the type for set whisper, which is fine. And then this percent, let's see, let's go to this pages ID. We shouldn't need to do a lot of the stuff. We don't need moment here. Just make sure we don't need this percent here anymore. So that's all good. And then, so what I'm doing here is I'm basically setting a percent, which is setting the state to update, which is updating this component here, but that's why we're getting these flashes. So what I could do is I can just set a reference point to this input. So if I do ref, and then right at the top, I can say const input container ref is equal to use ref here, like this, and we'll set it to null for now. And I think we now do, can't actually remember. I'm sure it will tell me, it will error that it's the wrong type, but it's something with the HTML element of div, I guess, which is what this is. Let's not do it over here. Let's do it here. And let's say, let's say ref equals input container ref. And then let's not do this percent here because we're not going to have that state there anymore, like this, which is fine. And then what we can say here is cannot find name use ref. I must have just not imported it. Is it imported now? Yep. Okay, so now instead of updating this state, what we can do is we can now say if the input container ref.current, which means that it exists and it's being used, then we can do, and it's sort of like made the reference, we can then do input.containerref.current. I guess it's .self or .target maybe. Target is for inputs, so maybe it's this. I kind of want to do It's like HTML div element here. I'm just hoping that that's going to be fine, because now I'm setting this as the ref, and then this is going to give me some values here which I can use. So I just want to basically set the style to equal opacity, and then have the percent value in here instead, which is fine, which is now going to update that percent. Let's see, you cannot assign style. Okay, so I maybe have to do set attribute, which is a function which says style, and then set style to equal this value here. So now I'm basically updating the style instead of updating the percent state here, so we don't even need this. And it's probably going to error somewhere because it looked like I was using that still. Yeah, we don't need to pass this into here anymore, because now we do this, which means that we don't need to expect it on here, so we don't need this stuff, and we don't need this. We can keep that, and then this should be fine. This error should go away. And then if this is less than or equal to this, we could basically just do this function here, but instead of setting an attribute, we could just say inner HTML is equal to nothing, right? Would that work? Who knows? It's probably saying I can't set the inner HTML, right? Okay, no, that's fine. So yeah, now this should update without having to cause that flashing that you see. So now let's go to here. We'll write a whisper, and we'll say, hey, keep this a secret. And then we'll publish it. And then it's being published. So let's go to that URL. Let's go here. And then it should start fading in. And then over the course of 60 seconds, it'll start fading out again. And you notice nothing's refreshing because we're not having to update the state. We're not re-rendering loads of times. It's a little bit more performant. This will slowly keep fading out. And then we can inspect this, and we should be able to see on the attribute, style attribute, that this opacity is going further and further and further down. And then if someone else comes to this page, so let's just refresh, then it's going to start at that opacity, and it's not going to basically get any higher. And if it goes to 0, then it's going to hopefully clear out this text area here, which is what we want. So this message, after the first person views it, is counting down 60 seconds, and it's going to be gone, and then it'll be gone forever. Then what we're going to do is we're going to clear out local storage and stuff. So next time you post a message, it's going to be a new string, so that people just can't expect you to be posting on this string all the time. And yeah, but I think that's a pretty good place to end it on this stream, because yep, this now cleared out. So this is kind of working as expected. And then even after this point, we could just redirect them back to the home page quite easily. I'm not sure we want to do that yet, but you could just do like router.push and import next router. But let's just keep it like this for now. And let's commit this, git add, git commit, message added stream free content, git push, and yep, that will be live soon on whisper.li. And then basically I had another idea which would make like a viral loop thing for the whisper, which basically once you get to this screen and it goes to 0, you then have 60 seconds to rewrite a whisper. And if you do that, then it updates the expires that. So then the next person after you comes along and it updates the expires that, starts counting down again. But instead, they'll see your whisper and not the whisper of the person that sent it. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing, because obviously you could then tweet out this whisper link, and then someone else could view it, wait 60 seconds, change the whisper to be something like offensive or something. And then when other people go to that link, they'll see it, and it might be the offensive thing. They'll think that that person sent it, because you can't tell who sent what whisper. I don't know if that's a good thing and that's going to be funny and fun, or if that's a bad thing and I probably just shouldn't do that and keep it simple. We're going to end the stream by looking at Bobby's design that he did. So let's take a little look and open up Figma. So let's see. Let's see. Oh, so he's gone for like a black theme. So he's done the same gradients. I'm guessing these are going to be animating in a way, or do you want them to be falling? And then we basically just say, hey, and then this message will go away soon. Okay, so that's what you typed, and then this has some better text around here, which is nice. And then this is it fading away, and then once it fades away, it goes back to here. So this is a nice design because it's quite explanatory of what the feature actually does. Oh, every time I forget to change the screen. How annoying! But thank you for telling me. We'll start from the top. Let's make this big and let's do this. So this is Bobby's design that he just sent me. So I'm guessing that these emojis will be sort of animating in a sort of way, or they can be static. Maybe they'll sort of be like slightly floating around, just sort of like wobbling in space. Might be quite cool. And then you will click like send a message, and then this will come up, and then you'll post, and then this stuff is what you've posted, and then once you posted, you'll get this sort of message here. And then it will start fading away until it gets to nothing, and then you'll get this message pop in which says send a whisper that disappears in 6 seconds, and then you click that, and then whoop, it will take you right back to this screen and create that sort of loop. So yeah, I really like it. I mean, obviously I was gonna like it because I like any design that comes from Bobby because it's a good friend of mine. So yeah, I'm guessing that the next stream will be implementing this new design now that the main functionality is done. Before I go, maybe I should uncomment this. Where was it? It was somewhere. Uncomment this just to make sure that if you view your own whisper, it's not going to start counting down. It's only when someone else views your whisper, it'll start counting down. So git add, hit commit, message, removed test, git push. And obviously this is not going to be sort of like ready to use yet, because I think it'd be nice if we use the new design and we want to explain what's happening a bit more, because if you come to this site, you might just be like, so what is a whisper? What's going on? All of this stuff. So yeah, we need more explaining. So, but hopefully now we can go to like this whisper.li, which is now going to be this failed to fail. Okay, so it's just reloading now probably because I just pushed. But this URL should live the updated stuff from this stream. But I'm going to go now. Back to here. I'm going to go because it's probably been quite a long stream. Okay, not too bad. 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm kind of getting used to this stream. Like the first stream I did like a 3-hour stream, and now it's getting a little bit better. Now it's going back down to like 1 hour, all of that stuff. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe because I'm almost at 30,000 subscribers and so close. It's a milestone that I've been sort of just waiting to hit, just looking at my YouTube every now and again for a while. I'm on like 29,980 something, I think. So literally only like 20 more subs and we should be there. Don't forget to like this video and comment below if you want to see me go over anything in particular in the next stream or the stream after if I'm focused on something else in the next stream. But I will get to it. I will reply to your comments as long as it's not some crap and I'll just ignore you. Thank you guys for watching. Honestly, it makes it so fun when you guys watch because otherwise I'm just sat here talking to myself, so that makes a big difference. Everyone have a good night. Hope their weekend's been great, and I hope work, I'm assuming most people going to work tomorrow, is good for everyone tomorrow. So yeah, I'm going to end this stream, but thank you and goodbye.